Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for coming back if you've been here before. So I'm Kathy. I wanted to do a video that I was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, about 16 years ago. And I did this video once, but I was driving. I was on kind of a long road trip and I did it then, but then I think later that day or the next day I found out that YouTube looks down on driving videos, so I had to get rid of that one. But this might be a little long. I will try to make it as succinct as possible. So about 17 years ago, I was, to summarize, it was I think 2008, and that year was really crazy and hectic and stressful for me, and just over the top stress that I'd never had before. And part of it was put on myself, starting an online business, and then the other part was just work and life and everything. So with all of that, by the end of the year, that was, yes, the very end of 2008. And it was around the holidays, and I was, to be honest, I was eating really bad. I'm a huge fan of fudge, and so I was just doing these crazy hours working on my computer and doing all this stuff. So I would when I wasn't at work, so I would just be eating fudge and all the holiday goodies and cookies and everything really bad. And so, and I'm saying that because I think that might have a little bit to do with what ended up happening. So yeah, it was right around Christmas, and I started noticing, I can't remember if it was all at once, I think so. And I would stand up and go to walk down the hall, and I would kind of be tilting into the side, and I wasn't trying to do that, and I wasn't dizzy or anything. I was just, yeah, things were off. Or I would reach for something in the cupboard that might be up here, but I would reach right here. Or I would go to grab something that was sitting here, and I'd grab over here. So like my perception was off. Something was going on with my brain. It was really scary. It was pretty much all at once. And I remember I called, that might have been on a Friday. So Saturday, I called my chiropractor, who I'd seen for years and was a good friend of mine. And I was telling him, and his office was closed, but I think I left a message. He called me back telling him what was going on. He's like, oh my gosh, yeah, come in, let's do an adjustment and talk about whatever. So I go in, and he said, yeah, it definitely sounds something neurological. And so things just kept going, like things weren't getting any better. And so I think it was around January, because this was around Christmas. And so I probably made the first doctor appointment. I think I went to my primary care physician, and then they referred me to a neurologist because everything was pointing towards something neurological in the brain going on. So yeah, like I said, I'd reach for something and my hand wouldn't line up, or I would go to shut a cupboard and I wouldn't grab the knob in the right place. And it's very scary, and you know something is going on with your brain, and because the signals aren't getting to your extremities. You know, if you're walking and you're tilting into the wall and you can't reach for things, or I would try to line up my fingers and they would go like that. And so yeah, the doctor sent me to a neurologist. I had, I can't remember, I had 2 different MRIs. Like, they do them different ways. One of them, they inject a dye and they look for stuff. Another one, they don't do the dye. I don't know. But anyway, so went to those appointments. A friend of mine went with me, a really good friend of mine when I lived in California, who's a Christian. And I wasn't a Christian at the time, an official Christian. And so she would go with me. And so that was, yeah, it was very scary trying to, figure out. Plus, I am not a fan of doctors or hospitals or any kind of procedure. So, having to do 2 MRIs, and I can't remember if they did x-rays also and CAT scans, but I think they went straight for the MRIs. But so I meet with the neurologist after the MRIs, and time is going on because nothing happens fast. And so my friend and I went and met with the neurologist, and I will just say that some doctors and surgeons and all of that do not have a good bedside manner. They might be excellent at what they do, and like maybe surgery or whatever it is, but they have no people skills whatsoever. And I've talked to other friends and family members that are just like blown away by how rude and uncaring and insensitive some of the doctors and surgeons and all that are. So anyways, this lady, this neurologist, she sat there and was going over the results, and she said there are lesions on my brain, kind of different areas. I think more were on this side, the left side, kind of, I don't know, maybe just 3 or 4 over here, maybe a few over here, maybe a couple up there. I can't remember, but she said, yeah, it's pretty sure you have MS. This is, she said, I want you to do injectable chemo. And I'm like, no, I don't inject anything. I hate needles. Plus chemo, why would chemo's for cancer as far as I know. And she said it was more like a preventative, so it wouldn't get worse, and they might be trying it. I can't remember if she said that, like it was new, but that's what she wanted me to do. And I was like, no. And at the time, I was part of this nutraceutical company that made like natural supplements, and I'd been with them for several years, I believe. And they're just awesome, excellent, the top of their game with what they would manufacture and make and research all over the world. And I was like a nutraceutical rep and all that added on to all the other stuff I was doing. And I thought, and I've heard of amazing testimonies of people with all different conditions, and you can't really say the H word, but they like the HEAL. So they would not have these conditions after taking said products. So I thought, okay, and I'm not feeling well. I can tell something is off, and my brain, I had to be really careful, especially driving, walking anywhere, just all those things. And yeah, it was pretty shocking. And so, and my Christian friend who went with me to these appointments, she was also with this nutraceutical company, and she's the one who told me about it. And so I decided I was going to double because it was a powder, you would put in, like I'd do maybe a protein shake every day, or you could put it in tea or coffee or hot chocolate or whatever, or sprinkle it on your food, and it's tasteless, odorless, all that stuff. And so I decided to double what I was taking, and they wanted to do a follow-up MRI in 6 months to see what was going on, if the lesions were really growing, if they were kind of staying the same, what was happening. And yeah, so I just told the neurologist, I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do these supplements that I really believe in. And so my friend who went with me and is a Christian, she would pray with me, and it was really powerful. She's a really good prayer. And like I said, I wasn't a Christian at the time, but I knew Jesus was there. I knew God was real, all those things, but I just wasn't following him. And so, but I was like, yeah, cool. You can pray for me. Yes, I am all for that. Please, Lord. And so fast forward 6 months, and I'd been doubling up, or maybe even a little more than that when I could, the amount of the supplement I was taking. And so go for the follow-up MRI, and I felt pretty good. I think the symptoms had diminished, and I can't remember if they had completely gone away, because it had only been 6 months. And so go in for that, go to the follow-up meeting with the neurologist. And so she's looking at the report and the scans and everything. And she says, okay, well, the largest lesion has decreased by, I can't remember, she said 40 or 60%. I remember it was one or the other. And so we'll just say 50, put it in the middle. So she said, it's decreased by about 50%. I was like, okay, cool. And so she said, well, what have you been doing? I said, well, I'm taking this supplement. And I told her the name of it and everything. And, doctors and surgeons and the medical field, medical professionals aren't always open to anything like that. Sometimes they are, which is great. Most of them, in my experience, they are all about prescriptions and medicines, when there's a lot of good natural supplements out there all over the world. So she just said, okay. And if I remember right, she was still kind of wanting me to do, well, you should, do the injectable chemo. And I remember her saying, it's not going to get better. It's not going to go away, and it will eventually get worse. And I was like, well, I'm just going to see what happens, and I'm not going to be taking chemo. And I've done other videos a couple months ago about just, taking a more natural approach, and being your own health advocate, things like that, doing your own research, getting second opinions, third opinions, whatever you need to do, talking to friends, researching online, just really finding out as much information as you can before you jump into a major medical decision. And that's my opinion. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or anything. So do your own research. Don't take my word for it. So this is just my experience. And so, she was still saying, well, you should do this and that and this and that. I was like, no, that's okay. I'm going to keep doing the supplement. And so we kind of left it at that. And that was in 2009 when the actual diagnosis came through, when she had said that. And I basically, I wouldn't accept it. I was just like, no. And so, and I know some people are born with conditions, or they have conditions show up, medical conditions, all those things that, you have no say over. And I am thankful to God that I am pretty healthy and I trust in Jesus. Since then, I became, probably 2 years after that, I became a Christian officially, and I can see what God was doing in my life, and Jesus was there the whole time. And I mean, I can tell I'm not 100%. I can tell sometimes, like what I've noticed is, okay, there's more of these lesions, these white spots on my left side of my brain. And I did some research that I believe that is where the language center is. I could be wrong, but I think something I was looking at said that. And so sometimes I do have a loss for words, which I never used to, but I can tell that, like I said, it's 16 years later. So I feel, that's pretty good for, being able to be pretty much okay this whole time. But that's where I notice things. Sometimes my balance is a little bit off, but that could be, I also have like a bulging disc in my low back that affects my legs and the nerves and whatever. It's not too bad. It comes and goes, the issues with that. So I'm not sure. But as far as that, I said, I'm not going to accept that. And I'm taking my own path. Who wants to be on injectable chemo when you feel pretty good, plus something that you're taking has decreased the spots by, about 50%. So that's my experience. I might be forgetting something. Like I said, this is my second time doing the video, the testimony. But yeah, so let me know down below what you guys think. If you have ever had anything like that where maybe, and I've also known of doctors that misdiagnose, that, there's all kinds of things that happen. And there's a lot of statistics about that, about misdiagnoses and medical mistakes and all those things. So let me know down below if you guys have ever had anything like that, or if you've had a condition or a diagnosis that you don't want to accept, that you feel like taking your own path. And God's amazing. Jesus can heal. I just did 2 videos, probably 1 to 2 weeks ago, about Jesus healing my teeth. One over here and a couple over here, just instantly, and amazing. So I will link those in the description box. But yeah, so I wanted to share that. Hopefully it maybe gives someone a little bit of hope if they're going through something, or if you have a friend that just found out something. Yeah, there's always other options. There's answers out there. You just have to look for them, do your own research. And yeah, and you can also send me an email. I have an email listed in the description box. But yeah, leave me a comment down below with what you guys think. So thank you for listening to this whole thing, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, God bless.